How we doing, Tulane fans? Welcome back to another video from Inside the Wave. Isaac sporting the Tulane homecoming shirt for Tulane homecoming week. We got a big week coming up against Temple. If you want to support Tulane athletics and the collective, make sure to donate. If you can't do that, at least like this video, subscribe. That also helps, building the Tulane fan base, building the Tulane community. We're going to go over a little bit of stuff from Temple, and then we also have some historic stats to break down about this Tulane football team. I'm joined, as always, by Isaac Popper. Isaac, thanks for joining me.
Hey, John. Great to have homecoming week and have a Tulane team that has not lost in 3 straight Octobers going into November.
Yeah, we go into all of these games kind of expecting to win at this point, just because that's where the program is, but it wasn't always that way. So it's really important not to take that for granted, because there was a time where that was not the case. So, if you had told me 4 years ago that we wouldn't lose for the next 3 Octobers, I would have been over the moon. So no reason not to be over the moon right now. We're going to talk a little bit about this Temple team. I know Bug talked about it a little bit with us on our recap from the Charlotte victory. One of the things he mentioned was the Temple defensive line being quick. He's a former offensive lineman, but really overall, I would say this is going to be one of the less impressive teams Tulane faces this season. Just to put it, a little more respectfully. What are your thoughts, Isaac?
Yeah, I think that's certainly true, John. My score prediction is very high for this game. Temple is just, quite honestly, not a good team. Game on Paper, my favorite site, has Tulane as a top 10 team in the country in EPA per play, not adjusting for opponent, and Temple at 109, 100 spots behind Tulane and FBS. And if you include some FCS teams, probably even worse than 109th in EPA per play.
Yeah, I know we were talking just right before this video about how some of the advanced sites give Tulane about a 95% chance of victory. I think if we play this game 20 times, I don't think we lose one of them still. So I think that might even be. I mean, everything would have to go wrong and then some for Tulane to lose this game. So we talked about score predictions. We can definitely get into those right now. We'll start with you if you want, because you brought it up. What is your score prediction? I don't know what he's about to say. I haven't heard this yet.
I don't like to give score predictions, but when you have a team that is number 7 in the country in offensive EPA per play and number 12 on defense, going against a team that's 69 offense, 92 defense, but 109th in net. And then if you look at non-EPA metrics and go a little bit more traditional, say yards per play, Temple's 115th, which is worst. Available yards percentage, 125th in the country. So I really do think that this will be a blowout. I'm going to go with 55-12 Tulane, and there even is a chance that they get that 72 that they did not quite get when they played University of Alabama Birmingham earlier in the season, the second week of conference play, which was the most they've scored in a conference game ever. But I think that they can really get to that amount that they've scored the most against the most that they've scored against an FBS team, 72. So I think they might be able to get to that.
Before I get into my score prediction, 55-12. How is Temple getting to 12? Because that's a very interesting. Are you going to kick 4 field goals, or are you just kind of taking the average of what you were thinking?
Well, I think that there's a way that they can get it in different scenarios. And so as a numbers guy, I liked that there was a possibility that they could kick 4 field goals, or they could kick 2 field goals and try to go for 2 and miss the 2-point conversion, which I think is a little bit more likely, or they could try to kick an extra point and get blocked or miss. But I would lean towards going for 2 and missing it. It's just hard to see them score on 3 possessions, John. Last week, my score prediction was pretty low scoring in the Charlotte game. For Charlotte, I don't remember what I had, maybe 38-13 or something like that.
You're pretty close.
I said I just don't see how Charlotte can score 3 times against Tulane, but how everyone's going to score at some point, maybe a garbage time touchdown, which has been happening against Tulane a lot in the fourth quarter. North Texas started to make it really close in the fourth quarter, even though Tulane had a comfortable lead in the last road game that they played before Charlotte, or the last game period. So we'll see.
Yeah, we will. Our score predictions are actually pretty close here. I wrote down 52-10. So
Wow.
we both have Tulane covering by a lot. And honestly, I think the line. I don't know it off the top of my head, but I think it's like mid-20s or something. But that even feels a little low. But it just goes to show how much of a different league this Tulane team is really playing in right now.
Yeah, no doubt, John. 27 right now is the current spread, and it even could get back up to 30.
It's a good time to be a Tulane fan. I think before we wrap up this video, we have a couple things we want to go through. We have ipop's top 6 players, which is becoming sort of a thing. It has been on Twitter for a while, and it is on this channel. Before we get into that, I think you wanted to talk a little bit about Makhi Hughes' historic streak and all the records he's breaking and leaderboards he's climbing. So what is Tulane's victory and Makhi's performance last week against Charlotte? How does that affect Tulane football history, I guess?
Yeah, well, Makhi's now been on the honor roll in 3 straight weeks. It's pretty much a lock at this point, and that's the 6th time in 12 games. Again, Tulane has had a player on the honor roll or a player of the week in all 12 of those games, which are the last 12 that they've played going back to last season. Makhi struggled early in this one, 8 attempts for 27 yards, despite a first down rush on 3rd and 10 on the opening set of downs. But it was a record book day for Makhi Hughes. Not necessarily breaking records, but passing people all over the place in the record book. He joined Mewelde Moore and Eddie Price as the 3rd player in Tulane history to rush for 1,000 yards in multiple seasons. And that's just the 11th 1,000-yard season in Tulane history. That one, to me, I think is the most impressive. He passed Don Zimmerman for 8th in school history in career rushing yards. He's tied for 11th in school history in single-season rushing touchdowns. He tied Eddie Price for 4th all-time in 100-yard games with 13, only trailing Mewelde Moore, Matt Forte, and Tajay Spears. And the 6 100-yard games this season that he now has tied him with Mewelde for 6th in school history in single-season 100-yard games. And he's going to go past Mewelde Moore and get into the top 3 in that metric as well. Really just a great day all around for Makhi Hughes, even despite a slow start. So he did make my ipop's top players this week, along with 3 other offensive players, which was great to see after we had a record low offensive players a couple weeks ago when Tulane played Rice, and then not as many when they played North Texas the week before.
Yeah, it's all Tulane has had the luxury, you could say, of having quality running backs over the last 2 generations. So that's always when you have a good running back, somebody that can take the pressure off of a quarterback, get the ball going like Makhi Hughes could, like Tajay Spears could before him. Definitely something that affects the football that we watch. Looks like we might run a little long here. We tend to do that. We kind of made a habit of running long. But I do want to hear your top 6 players. I'm a big fan, as I know a lot of our viewers are, of ipop's players of the week. So you mentioned Makhi Hughes was on there. Where was Makhi Hughes on your list, 1 through 6?
I appreciate that, John. He was 5th. I could have put him 4th ahead of Keith Brown, but Keith Brown had a career-high 7 receptions, and I think we know how good Makhi Hughes is at this point, considering he's top 5 in the country in rushing yards. Not just Group of 5, by the way. That's the whole country.
Yeah, he's a difference maker. So you put Keith at 4, then Makhi at 5. Who'd you have at 6?
I had Pat Jenkins, another player could have put higher. I felt like this week, more than most weeks, I had a group of 6 players that I was like, these are the 6. I probably could have put Shadre Hurst in that as well. There was a little funny business going on where Shadre Hurst on Pro Football Focus was attributed with giving up a sack, and I went and watched the play that they thought he gave up a sack, and I was like, this is not a sack. Can we change this? Because Shadre Hurst has never given up a sack in college, so I don't want this blemish on his resume when he didn't deserve it. And indeed, they actually did go in and regrade later this week, so Shadre Hurst still yet to give up a sack in college, which is just purely remarkable, and his pressures allowed per snap is one of the best in the whole country.
Yeah, Shad, Tulane's got one of the better O-lines, not just in Group of 5 football, but in all of college football. When you pair that with a guy like Makhi Hughes, you're bound to break records. So now let's get into the top 3 ipop's players of the week. Some would say it's more valuable, this award, than anything else that you can earn in your collegiate career. So I'm on the edge of my seat right now. Let's hear 3, then 2, then 1.
I don't know about that, John, but I did enjoy seeing Patrick Jenkins make a return after he missed the last week. I know the team's been really rallying around Patrick, and that was inspiration. They played that North Texas game on the road for him. So he actually had the most hurries on the team, which was impressive, and also the best defensive grade on the team. But I went offense for 1, 2, and 3. Number 3, again, this order could have been mixed up. Actually, sorry, I had another defensive player at 2. I went offense for 1, 3, 4, 5.
All right, let's hear it.
I had Darian Mensah at 3, 21 of 29, no interceptions, about 10 expected points added using game on paper. Micah Robinson at 2, who had a great interview with us that we just posted yesterday. So make sure to check that out. I really enjoyed the interview with him yesterday. He had a pick six, a pass breakup, and 3 stops. John Summerall talked about how he missed a tackle early in the game, but made up for it with some great tackling in the second half that Summerall was more proud of, even more than this pick 6. And then number 1, it's Mario Williams. Super Mario tied his career high with 6 receptions, had almost 100 yards, and over 10 expected points added. So for all of those reasons and the highest PFF grade on the team, he takes my number 1 ipop's top player spot.
Well, there you have it. ipop's top 6 players, Makhi Hughes breaking records, climbing the leaderboards, solidifying his place in Tulane history. And then we got some score predictions for Temple. Thank y'all so much for watching. Like the video, subscribe, donate to the collective. Let's keep this momentum rolling. Right now, goals for the conference championship. Let's win that and then see what happens next. Make sure you show out against Temple. We got homecoming, big week. Thanks for joining me, Isaac. Roll wave.
Thank you, John. Take care of business at homecoming. Enjoy the homecoming. And then when you're in Annapolis, I'll be there. Hope to see you all there.